Two women were also arrested by police following the slaying of British youth Dominic Bernard, taking the number of arrests to 5. Crime Chief Wendell Blanham, speaking with Nightly News via telephone Tuesday, said that those detained in connection with the brutal murder of the young Briton will have to stay longer in police custody since the High Court has granted investigators permission to detain them without charge beyond the mandatory 72 hours.
Well, at this point in time, we have 5 persons in custody. We have the 2 prime suspects. We have since applied to the High Court, and we were granted permission to extend their period of detention in police custody.
The crime chief did not go into details of the women's involvement in the slaying of the youth, but Nightly News was able to confirm that one of the women is the girlfriend of Aaron Hing, who knew of the killing. What the chief is certain about is that the Director of Public Prosecution will soon be in possession of the file, since statements, including confession statements, were obtained by the police.
The investigation is ongoing, and we are in the process of completing our investigation, and we'll send the file to the Director of Public Prosecution for her to go through those statements that we have in the file, and then she'll advise us on the way forward.
Police were told of how the godbrother of the youth and others dug a shallow grave at Kildone and Berbice 2 days before the youth arrived. It was an anonymous call that led police to the bushy area where the duo dug the shallow grave and buried the body of Dominic Bernard. The teen's camera, tripod, and other belongings were dug up not too far from the shallow grave. 1 day after his remains were found, investigators are certain that the remains are those of the youth, but samples for DNA testing will give them the assurance. I understand that you're supposed to send samples overseas for DNA testing. Could you tell me about that?
That arrangement is in place, and I cannot say in details what the arrangement is, but we're having discussions at the moment on the way forward with respect to those DNA samples.
The 5 people you have in custody, that includes 2 women?
Yes, we have 2 females in custody.
Dominic Bernard arrived in Guyana on October 14. He was supposed to be visiting his cousin Aaron Hing at the house seen here. Instead, he was hacked to death. His godbrother's best friend, Stamon George, was paid some $150,000 for his hand in the killing of the youth. What investigators are still trying to figure out is the motive of the crime.